our sacred ground. In green and black, we fight, our voices loud and proud. Trio sees magic, but carry speed, Stuva saving grace. With every goal we score, the lights turn verde, it's our place. So knows the mastermind, building our dream, and rules everything around me, as he strengthens our team. Let Rodo cook, he's got the perfect recipe. Austin FC, our heart and soul forever will. In the North End, we stand together, through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow, the North End will never let go.
What is going on, everybody? Surprise! Schedule's here. Welcome in to the North End. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. His name is Ian Michaud. We call him
E.
E. We're sitting here on a Thursday, late November. We haven't even hit Thanksgiving yet, and the 2026 MLS regular season schedule has hit the timeline. How you feeling, my friend?
Excited, man. I think actually it was maybe a week ago, I was telling you about how I was just drained.
Yeah.
Just like, man, I need a break. And now we get this drop, and now I'm all the way back in. So the duality of E on full display right there. Excited, man. Excited to see some people in here, amped up about this, man. 2026 right around the corner. Can't wait for it.
Duality E, maybe.
Hey.
I don't know. Not my best work, but you see all of our friends in here, the After Roll, the Trefoil, Jorge in here, Finkel, both halves of the Pirates, actually. I saw Mike, I think, was the first commenter here. We see TJ in here as well. See Ari's in here saying crew fans crying on social media about not getting to play us. They will eventually. They will here pretty soon. And Jackson saying, was that a ZG buzz cut in the victory song video? I think something close to that. Right? Look, we are men of many hairstyles. We don't have a ton of it up there, right? But you know, we can mix and match a little bit there. So everybody's here to talk about the schedule. So let's go ahead and get into it here on our Thursday afternoon. Won't be here too long, but let's take a look at this schedule. And I guess we got to start at the top, right? Opening night for the 5th straight season. Austin FC will open the regular season at home. And just look, man. When I look through this schedule, not just this Minnesota game, we'll talk about some of the other ones, but based on what we just went through in 2025, right? We didn't come home with any silverware, but along the way, I think we made some new rivalries or intensified some others, and I think Minnesota qualifies.
Yep, that was going to be my first comment here. I was excited to see them first on the list because I'm right there with you. I think that this is a team now that we have a little, extra motivation against. I think they definitely also have a little extra motivation against us to get some victories. Obviously, every team wants to start out the season with 3 points, but I was excited to see this matchup for sure, and glad that it wasn't in Minnesota.
And also just I think important to note, going back to the early schedule release is a little bit weird. Dude, Minnesota is about to play their second round game in the playoffs this weekend. So again, it's all out of whack here. But as we said with some friends about an hour ago, hey, look, more time to plan, right? For those home matches, any of these road games that you might be traveling to, right? Maybe we're going to try. Obviously, I look at the Dallas date, right? We always go up there. Look, I'm ready to get hurt again. Okay?
I'm not. I am.
I thought you were all the way back in, dude.
With the pain, he just brought it back up, man, for sure. And this has to, the timing of this release has to have something to do with the World Cup, right? And the change of the schedule coming up and everything.
Yeah, and I think more about that planning, right? It's more about that planning for not just the fans, but everybody involved, both with the MLS season and that FIFA World Cup that's coming to North America next summer. So just checking in on the chat here, before we move on to our next bullet point on the schedule here. I see Mike saying end of November, it's 90 degrees for all those bitching about the schedule change. That's a good point, my friend. And the after all, this is big North End breaking news. the After Roll. Excited to share the section with y'all this season. First time season ticket holder. Let's go 123. And Mike saying, look, I echo what Mike says. We welcome you with open arms. There's always a spot on the pirate ship there in 123 for more Austin fans. Jackson saying that Minnesota home opener giving some trauma. A pirate birthday. Another pirate birthday game day, I guess, this season. So TJ, another 123 member there, right? We got to get some darts in pretty soon with TJ, man. Look, I've been beating you too much. I need a new challenge. Right? Look, take it easy in the trefoil, saying let's take the North End to Miami, road trip with the North End fam, and that is the next place I want to go here on the schedule, because right, that's what everybody's looking for. Do we win the Messi lottery this year? Not really. We will play Inter Miami, but this was in the league release, which was the first thing that I saw put out about 2 p.m. Central here on Thursday. So Austin will play Inter Miami on the road, and early in the season here, April 4th is the date of that match, and Inter Miami will open their new stadium that night. So look, man, Austin has a chance to ruin the pink pony party, I guess. We can get together with Minnesota there on some digs at Inter Miami, but this is what the league, right? This is going to be a big to-do. You can see it in the league press release. The regular season schedule is highlighted by the introduction of the league's newest soccer-specific stadium as Inter Miami hosts Austin FC for the inaugural match in the club's new 25,000-seat stadium at Miami Freedom Park. So that's going to be a 6:30 Central kick that night. Miami's new stadium, first of 3 MLS stadiums set to open in consecutive years, with the Pigeons' new home Etihad Park coming in 27, and then the Fire's new downtown stadium set to open in 2028. So no Messi in Austin this year, of course, until we meet them in the MLS Cup next December. But look, man, I would be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed at even having the chance to see Messi at Q2, because it's always a question mark whether or not he's going to be active for some of these road games. But I would love to see him at Q2 at some point before he leaves, and you think we would get that with the way the schedule change is coming, but no dice this year.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first thing I was looking for, and I was pretty shocked to see that we got the inaugural match there for their opening night. Like, seems kind of random.
Normally you would schedule some bums maybe, and are we really?
I mean, felt like you would do Orlando, you know what I mean? Like some sort of rival, something like that. But I saw, I don't know if I want a road trip down there, dude. But I do want to go. I definitely want to make the trip. I feel like it being the first match, the inaugural match there, tickets are going to be even more ridiculous than they would
probably
be. I mean, if it was just a regular season, or not, just a regular game. But
right.
I've never been to Miami. Obviously, I want to see this man play up close before it's all said and done. And Miami in April sounds really nice, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. And look, man, I would imagine that the tickets to see Messi play in Miami are cheaper than when he goes out on the road, because right, everybody in those road games, those markets are waiting to gobble up those tickets, and the scalpers are as well. So we'll see if that holds, right? At inaugural match at the new stadium, I think you're probably spot on, where the tickets are going to be elevated there compared to normal in Miami.
I'd love to do that though.
I know, yeah. And look, you look at this schedule, man. We'll take a look at the full slate here in a moment, but that certainly stands out as the one to try to get tickets to. And again, like, you would think that Messi will certainly play in that game unless he is legitimately hurt, because it is them christening that new stadium there in Miami. And I don't think it's a bad thing that Miami should still be alive in CONCACAF Champions Cup at that time. So like, maybe we are getting a tired and or slightly rotated Miami side there. Again, just like thinking down the road, and what kind of positives can we pull out here going up against a side that, they're going to reload, right? A couple retirements, DP slots open. I know DePaul's filling one of them, but that's not going to be easy no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, no, and I'm a big DePaul fan as well, as an Atletico Madrid guy. That's, I'm a big fan of his. I would love to see him, but who knows? There's going to be all kinds of names over there by next season. So
right,
it's going to be a match.
See our buddy Greg in here saying new stadium ruin day.
There we
go.
go.
It's another North Ender. So is our buddy Richard from over in 124.
Richard.
Good to see you in here, Richard. And Ari said the supporters groups will get about 100 tickets. So make sure to join a supporters group if you want access to those more price controlled tickets. And of course, to sit with your Verde brethren, right? So that is probably the move that we will take if we do embark on that trek.
Thank you,
Rich in here saying sell those Miami tickets if the away fans get an allotment. And then TJ saying inaugural game feels like some homecoming game disrespect. Time for another Owen dunk. we would certainly take that. And then see the Top Flight podcast in here. So that We Are Austin TV boy says no glizzy in Chicago. And look, man, Chicago, right? That was one of the notes that were certainly not unique, highlighting it here. I've seen that a lot of places already. That the Chicago Fire, still the only team we have not seen in MLS play, right? We know they handled us in the Open Cup a couple years ago at Q2, which was a brutal night there. But it's puzzling, man. I know that the schedule has always been imbalanced, especially when you look at the interconference matchups. But this just seems silly at this point, man. This is going to be our 6th season. And even Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert was posting about that, us not having a regular season matchup yet. So it's not just us. It's a little head scratching.
I also don't understand it. I'm a little distracted right now. I did just go look up some flights to Miami. You get there round trip from the 2nd to the 7th for about $250. That's not bad.
That ain't bad.
That ain't bad.
That's not bad. Maybe is there like maybe the Spurs are out there, the Lakers are out there during that time. Like that would seal the deal for us, I think. Right? If we can get an NBA game in there too. So I do want to kind of let some of our podcast brethren steer us here because we have a couple bullet points, but the Top Flight asking thoughts on October here. And that was one of my points that I brought up to you before we went live here, E, that when you're talking about the toughest portions of the schedule, and let's go ahead and pull up the full schedule here and we'll scroll down to that October slate. I mean, this is not only a tough gauntlet of teams, I think, but 6 games in a 21-day span following what I believe is an October international window, but you have 2 double game weeks in there. We'll talk about the Eastern Conference opponents in full here in a moment, but Austin hosts Nashville. So you talk about revenge spot there. Like they might be the team outside of our Texas rivals that I want to beat the most next season, at least as we sit here. Then you go on the road to LAFC, host Vancouver. You would imagine both of those teams are still going to be pretty strong. That's our Thomas Muller opportunity right there on the 17th.
Go.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you go on the road to SKC, which I think on paper should be the easiest match of these 6 because then you host RSL. We know they've got some young talent with Diego Luna. They rejuvenated their attack with Olatunji and Ruan Cruz. And then you go on the road to the Galaxy. Ricky Pooch is back, man. They're going to be mid-table at worst next year. And I say that with some high confidence, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Galaxy matchup, right? Like that is last year is not going to be this season with the Galaxy. That is going to be a completely different looking team. You just add Ricky back into the mix and that raises everything. We understand the other players they have, Gabriel Peck, Joseph Paintsel as well. They're going to be good. Like they're going to be a good team this year. Looking at this part of the schedule, man, brutal. Those first 3 to open up in a week. You get Nashville, LAFC, and Vancouver. That's going to be super, super tough. Excited to see Thomas Muller, a legend. You know what I mean? And any chance, every opportunity after seeing Son and how impressive he was up close and personal, man. Just as a fan of soccer, I'm excited for the opportunity to see Thomas Muller. You know, again, so much is going to change with what these rosters look like in these teams. And you brought up Kansas City and Salt Lake there as well. And like Salt Lake did do a little bit of revamping this past season, but you know, a lot can change with what these rosters are going to look like. I'd expect Nashville to be super good again. You know, I think they're going to be tough for sure. And then there's just I don't know if I'd see any scenario outside of some sort of catastrophic injury where LAFC is not one of the premier teams in the league next season. Yeah. I really just can't. You know what I mean?
They have a DP spot open.
Yeah, like so they're just going to be able to get even better. And that's just pretty infuriating. This for me is it might be my 1A. I thought that the section of the schedule from July 22nd, I believe, to the end of August was super, super brutal. You get to host Seattle, who once again a mainstay at the top of the table in the Western Conference. Rivalry game in Houston. We have struggled in Houston. Going up to the elevation in Colorado there. You get back with another rivalry matchup with the Texas team in Dallas there. Traveling up to Seattle. Then you host Philly. And then you go up to Providence Park, man. And I don't know who mentioned being excited about going up to Providence Park. I do think, again, on the checklist of, my MLS dreams and being able to visit certain stadiums and experience some of the legacy that this league has, Providence Park is on a short list there. But this stretch right here seems really, really tough, in my opinion. Obviously, it doesn't have the same condensed nature that the October portion does, but the quality of these teams, and you throw in the fact you get the 2 rivalry games with the Copa Tejas matchups, it's gonna be tough.
Well, and it could be as congested as May, dude, because we don't club president Andy Loughnane gave a press conference talking about the league-wide schedule changes, like the format changes that are coming up in 2027. And he mentioned that he expects us to be qualified for Leagues Cup here in 2026. And the traditional Leagues Cup time is right here on the schedule. So, dude, even if you're just adding in 2, 3, well, they changed the format, right? So you get at least 3 games, I think it is, in kind of that, not round robin, but the kind of qualifying stage there in the new format of Leagues Cup. So that could add 2, 3, and if you advance, even more games into the schedule. And then, dude, if you're postponing games, we just looked at October, where do you put them? So I think this is a good shout by you that this is another really tough portion of the schedule. Not necessarily with the scheduling, like you mentioned, the opponents and where you're playing these games play a role. And then if you add multiple more games in there, dude, I don't know. It's hard to tell now, right? Because so much will happen between now and then. But if you get to Leagues Cup, we might be advocating for totally just maybe go for it the first game. But if you lose one, play the kids. That's never been Austin's MO in those situations. But are we really going to go win Leagues Cup next year? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the first thing I thought about both of these stretches was the depth aspect of our roster. You know what I mean? To survive these brutal stretches in this league, you have to be able to tap into your bench, bring some dudes on who you can trust, and you're going to get competent minutes out of. And that's something that Austin has struggled with since their inception. So we're going to look different as well. As I mentioned, with those other teams looking quite different, we are also going to look quite different, in my opinion. So going to have to fill out the depth of this roster to survive some of these brutal stretches.
Well, and this points me back. You're talking about the depth of this team. Points me back to what we started off the live stream with. It's this is such an odd time to get a schedule. We don't have our option decisions yet. Usually when we do this annual stream, free agency has started. Right? And we've gone through re-entry draft and the MLS draft is coming up and all that. So it's just an odd time to be looking at this and prognosticating on anything because we don't have an idea of what our roster is going to look like. So checking back in on the chat here. Top Flight saying, you got to stay out of Miami. Look, man, if we ever open an episode and you hear Will Smith go, "Welcome to Miami," right? That means we bought the tickets.
Hey, come on now.
Yeah,
come on now.
See Jackson saying October is the new May, and Finkel saying Music City Derby there between Austin and Nashville. But the Derby of all derbies is still the most important trophy in the world is still Copa Tejas, at least on years that we win it. And we will take back the Copa Tejas this year, E. So here's how we're going to do it and win. And this was a little bit eyebrow raising to me. I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but the dates for our 4 Copa Tejas matches are eerily similar to last season. The one that's really off at all is the July 25th match. We went to Houston on 4/20 last year. We host Houston on April 25th. We went back-to-back Houston-Dallas at home in August. We host Dallas on August 15th. We went to Dallas on September 13th. We're going to Dallas on September 19th this year. So very similar Copa Tejas schedule here for 2026. I don't know, man, going to Houston in July, obviously it's brutal playing in any of these stadiums in late July, but that heat, the potential for that heat and humidity in Houston, that's going to be tough too. And it's not making me want to go to Houston to see my first game at that disgusting stadium they have.
Yeah, I can't blame you there. It's like bowl soup. Brutal.
Yes. I mean, so obviously that's what we have our eyes on there. And then let's see, Jackson here saying Roto's making his picks based on the scheduled opposition, apparently. So we'll see. And like, that's another thing we'll talk about on the North End is the draft coming up and we're picking later than we typically have. Is Roto going to use that pick for, I think, the first time ever, right? In the first round, or what can he move it for? And now we're getting into more off-season stuff, so we can refocus on the schedule here. Anything else for you on Copa Tejas? It's always straightforward, right? Especially now that we have the even schedule, home away for both teams. And look, man, you didn't get a win last year. You have to at least beat these teams this year. I don't like if you come up just short. Okay, we'll figure out the context when it happens. But winless against these teams in 4 tries, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, and particularly with the fact that both of those teams were beneath us on the table for the majority of the season. So not only did it screw us in Copa Tejas, but it also hurt us in the regular season positioning.
Look, and this is why Brian and Mike, the Pirates, the captains of the North End, bringing the positivity. So we secure the Copa by August. Awesome. Look, if we could go up there not having to get a result against Dallas in September, like we would be super relaxed. We want to win, of course. But dude, if we can just parade the trophy in there before the match, like I'd take that.
Kick them out. Kick them out.
Oh man. Don't get tased.
Oh man, should we tell that little story there? I mean, it probably circulated a little bit with
anybody who was there saw it, and again, it wasn't like the biggest deal for the Austin supporters. But long story short, there was a overserved FC Dallas fan there right next to all the traveling Austin fans, and was just shouting obscenities towards them, and the law enforcement officers were there, came in, tried to calm him down, and the guy ended up getting tased and arrested, but he did, what he's referencing is he did yell at the cops when they tried to kick him out, pointed at our entire section and goes, "Why don't you kick them out?"
Overserved.
Maybe it had to
well
be
said.
there, but holy shit, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, he had every chance in the world, too, to stop. They were pretty lenient with him, and he just was not having it. So didn't get to see that win.
Well, as we go and take a look at our Eastern Conference opponents, I would invite anybody that's tuned in live in the chat to throw out any thoughts, questions, comments that you have on the schedule yourself. Let's talk about the 6 Eastern Conference teams that we're going to see here this year. Because our Eastern Conference schedule last year, dude, was a big advantage to us.
Cakewalk.
I think we caught, right? It was FC Cincinnati, and then everybody else was out of the playoffs.
Yep.
And
Bulls,
it wasn't right. We were getting
DC, Revs,
Montreal. Right? You didn't even take advantage of that. But this is totally different because we're going to host 3 Eastern Conference teams. You got to go on the road against 3 Eastern Conference teams. And it is notable, I think, that 4 of these interconference matchups for Austin in 2026 will take place before the end of April. You mentioned March 1st, right? We open up home against Minnesota, then home against DC United. And notable there, the DC game, that's a Sunday kickoff at 1 p.m. Central, or 1:30 Central, rather. So probably kind of not a prime time, right? It's not in the evenings there on Apple TV, but likely a standalone match there that will be highlighted by the league and Apple TV. And look, man, I don't care really who DC United brings in this year. That is a game you should win. Yeah,
I agree. We were undefeated, right, in primetime matchups this year? Was that Sunday night matchup?
Sunday night games, we were 4-0 until the 5th was LAFC game 2.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was trying to find some of those as well. But yeah, this DC, I mean, that's like, I don't know what to expect. You got Toronto as well, obviously. Miami, we talked about. Charlotte, and I don't know what to expect from Toronto. Obviously, they moved on from both of those really huge contracts with Bernardeschi and Insigne.
Yeah. They got Georgie now.
That's right. They did get Georgie, so they could look a little different. I know that their fans in particular have been really, really upset with the management of that team and how they've looked over the years. So you could see a revamped schedule or a revamped roster for them as well. And then who else do you got? Nashville, like we touched on, not going to be an easy matchup there. And then, Philly as well, man. Like you said, it was a huge advantage having the Eastern Conference schedule that we did last year, because we talked about we thought the imbalance of the Eastern Conference with some really top heavy clubs and then some just absolute stinkers. Last year was a bit different from the quality of the Western Conference, and we lucked out with a lot of those bottom tier teams, bottom table teams.
Yeah. And so some notes on those matches that you mentioned, right? You do go then on the road to Charlotte. So 2 of our first 3 are interconference matchups there. And then you turn around in April and you finish off your road slate against the Eastern Conference, right? We talked about the Miami match there on the 4th. You mentioned going up to Toronto on the 18th. And that Toronto match is the start of a double game week where you're up north of the border in Toronto. Then you go on the 22nd midweek all the way out to San Jose. And then we have to come home and host Houston to open up our Copa Tejas schedule. Like, dude, that Toronto match is like, it's a little bit of fool's gold, I think, because there's got to be some heavy rotation in one of these matches, and it ain't going to be at home against Houston.
Yeah.
So like, are we tossing away, not tossing away, but rotating heavily against San Jose or what? Like, that's going to be an interesting little stretch there to close out April.
Yeah, it's still pretty early in the season, so hopefully you're relatively healthy. And then, like, this is around the time frame, right, where we're looking at a Brandon Vasquez return. I was trying
to point
to a game that we might be seeing him back, and I thought maybe this LAFC matchup at home would be a nice way to reintroduce him. So this is definitely the time frame. If everything goes according to plan, according to schedule, no setbacks for him, that I would be anticipating that we're going to get BV9 back.
All right, well, I'm going to do this just because I kind of want to hear it.
Rumors, whispers, made up trades, consequences we never weighed. Logic's thin, the mic is hot. Let's pretend this means a lot. Taking shots from way downtown, hoping no one writes it down. Hot takes flying without hesitation. It's time for some reckless speculation.
There you go. The old E nose hairs for everyone.
Yeah, and I play that because I'm going to call my shot here.
Okay.
And now I'm legally protected by the song. The league will make sure that Brandon Vasquez is out there in a reserve capacity against Miami, highlighting that match. You get Brandon Vasquez back. That's the Austin storyline that they're running with in prime time. Andrew Reeby on the sideline. They're going to glaze Messi and all those guys. And then the little mini story that he'll do is the return of Brandon Vasquez. So, and look, that's the time, like, that's not too reckless because that's the time we are already expecting BV to be back, like you mentioned. But even if he's back sooner, man, that when we host LAFC on the 21st of March, that is also a nationally televised game on Fox. So either of those games would make sense from a narrative standpoint for Brandon Vasquez to return. So again, just kind of wanted to hear this song.
I like the call there. I like the shout out. If anyone else has a call that they're going to make for the BV return, I'd love to hear it. I'm going LAFC. I'm going home LAFC matchup on the 21st of March there. So just looking at our schedule, obviously we have 5 games before that Miami game. Does that mean Miami is on the road for 5 matchups before they're going to go ahead and get that first home game? Or give or take a couple games?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if they're still going to be able to play at I think it's DRV Pink Stadium, I think is the one they've been playing at. Maybe you can pull up on one of your screens over there the Miami schedule if it's on their site and see what they're looking at. Because, right, remember, they're also supposed to be playing CONCACAF matches at that same time. And those can't all be on the road, right? Or they will, they don't necessarily have to be played at a certain stadium, but there's got to be home legs wherever it's played.
Yeah, they're in LA, in Orlando, at DC, which I saw they're taking that game and they're moving it to, I believe, the
M&T Bank, right?
The Ravens Stadium, and then they're in Charlotte, in NYCFC, and then they get the home game versus us. So they're going to be backloaded with a nice chunk of home games as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder where they're going to play their CONCACAF games. Well, we'll see. If CONCACAF didn't put out their schedule a month early, so we got some time to wait for that, I think. Check it in on the chat here before we continue. Let's see. Yeah, Greg in here saying San Jose better fix their pitch, and the after roll saying, I really hope that BV return is not April 22nd at San Jose. TJ saying, yes, San Jose, Brandon rotates. Stay away from that, quote, grass.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, and then, like skip a trip. I think that's what they'll do. Richard saying teams should fly from Toronto to the Bay Area to skip the trip home. I think that's what they will probably do, especially to try to get out there, Pacific time zone, get your body acclimated over those couple days before that midweek game. So, continuing through the Eastern Conference games real quick, we talked about road against Toronto, and then you just have two left, and both of those will be at home, right? August 22nd. You mentioned Philadelphia coming to town, and that's the Supporters Shield winners, defending Supporters Shield champions. And look, man, they could do the double here and win the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
So that is certainly one to circle on the calendar for a myriad of reasons. Like that's a team I want to see play. And hopefully we are up for that game and it's a competitive one, or even able to take 3 points off Philly at that point. Again, it's hard to analyze anything when we don't have a team yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that is one of the games that I highlighted as making this section of the schedule a really, really brutal one.
Yeah, and then that final Eastern Conference matchup, we mentioned Nashville on the 10th of October. That's one, again, all Austin fans, I think. And I would imagine the players as well will be circling that one on the schedule. One of the biggest revenge matches I think we've had in club history. And look at this, E. Schedule release day. RB22 in the chat. Good to see our boys there.
We're going to Miami, RB. Pack your bags, brother.
Yep. Yeah. And hope you guys are well. Last thing I want to talk about, Decision Day. We're at home this year, and you host the Timbers. So, again, that Decision Day action, right? That's when you have the Eastern Conference going off at some point in the afternoon, and then you have the Western Conference following that, all the matches at the same time. It'll be 3 p.m. Central for the East, 6 p.m. Central for the West. And look, hopefully similar to last year, maybe a little bit higher in the table now, we would hope, but hopefully you're walking into that game and you don't have to fight for seeding and scrap and claw there on Decision Day and watch the table or what have you. Hopefully you're locked in, and hopefully that number is the 1 seed.
Yeah. I mean, shit, like we talked about this October stretch here, you might be hurting for some points in that Decision Day game coming out of that October month. But we shall see. Again, a lot of things need to change. We need to get these options decided, the roster finalized, see what these other teams look like. Again, I'm anticipating a new swath of talent to be coming in across the league here. It's just been in a big week for MLS, and maybe that's why they decided to drop it, kind of randomly like this, to capitalize on the eyes that they might have right now from the news as of late. But like I said, a lot to change here, a lot to change.
So a couple other things before we shut it down here. The league, you can notice on the schedule here, no games for Austin between May 23rd and July 22nd. And that's because the league will pause regular season action during the World Cup here. No games from May 25th to July 16th. They're expecting a record number of MLS players on World Cup rosters. I don't know if that's because our percentage of players are increasing, or it's just because there are more teams, I think, than ever in this upcoming World Cup format. But that pause is going to give us a nice kind of preview of what our summers will look like going forward, because we're going to have that summer break is going to be the off season after 2026 passes. So I'm not too upset about that, especially because we have a World Cup to watch. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm not too upset about it either. It's going to be a good time to watch get those international World Cup games in, man. It's going to be fun.
The league is going to come back before the World Cup final and have like some marquee games after the semifinals. So there's going to be some rivalry matches there, I believe, on the 16th and 17th, which is before the bronze final on the 18th and the World Cup final on the 19th. So I think that's a smart move there by MLS to try to showcase some matches while the hype is building around the final weekend of the tournament there. All-Star game is July 29th. That is in Charlotte this year. We'll see if we can sneak an All-Star onto the roster. We don't have the guaranteed 2 in the chamber for being the host city this year. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about on this press release is the playoff format. The format itself, or like the complete schedule, will be announced at a later date as MLS tends to handle these types of things. But Decision Day is November 7th, right? This year, a little bit later because of that World Cup break. Then we will have the normal November FIFA international window. and then 1 month of uninterrupted playoffs, which culminates in the MLS Cup final. That does leave the door open for a potential first round of best of 3 series to remain. But I think that would create a double game week scenario. So like, I've got my fingers crossed that best of 3 is a thing of the past and we're just going to go straight knockout here. And that is indicative of what we can expect when the format changes in 2027. So I'm hopeful for that. And I would love to see that change.
I think my preferred choice is still in a home and away on aggregate. I think, we obviously here in the States, we like our best of series. That's something that we enjoy as fans of sports. And like, if you want to find the right blend is not the first round is best of 3 and then we move to knockout for no fucking reason after a break. So that's just ridiculous to me. But I would like to see a home and away aggregate style. And, obviously given the schedule and everything, how ridiculous it was for these past playoffs with some teams getting a full week off and then some teams having to play within 4 or 5 days, there definitely needs to be some adjustments made, and hopefully they have the right decision makers in place to make the right changes here. But I think a home away would be really cool. We want fans to be able to go cheer on their team regardless of, like, if you qualify for the playoffs, it seems like you would want to encourage fans to be going to these matchups, potentially invested in these games longer than you would have been if you're just immediately knocked out in one game. So I think that would be at the top of my priority list if we are making some changes. But yes, the best of 3 in the first round and then just abandoning it after that, it makes no sense to me. And if you wanted to get rid of the play-in game to accommodate the home and away aggregate style, I think I'm for that too. It might hurt Austin, you know what I mean? Because I do anticipate us being in that realm again, where it's like, are we battling for a top 4 spot? I don't think so. But we'll see again. And then if you're going to be able to qualify and if that looks like a wild card spot or not, I don't know. But I do prefer a home and away with the aggregate score. I think that's a good way to do it.
Well, I've seen some other folks bandying about some different ideas of how to structure the first round. I've got some regular season schedule ideas that I want to bring up on this weekend's regularly scheduled episode. Now that we're diving into those sort of topics, I think we can go ahead and shut it down here. I see our buddy Jose in here, says late to the party. Just wanted to say hi before he rewinds to the beginning. Good to see you, my friend. And Mike saying he's with you, man. Likes the aggregate series. So look, the people are the man of the people. Okay, the people are with E. So anything else for you, man, before we shut it down here? Surprise schedule release live stream here in late November.
No, good to see a bunch of you sickos in here. Excited for 2026, man, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we appreciate you tuning in, sticking with us here, whether you caught us live or on the replay here on YouTube or the audio version that will go up shortly after we shut it down. We're back on Sunday with our regularly scheduled episode of the North End podcast. So we will see you all then. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Until then, he's E and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Victory song.
Welcome to the North End where the passion's running high. We're here to talk football, Austin FC, all pride. ZG and E will take you on this ride, week by week, side by side. It's action 1, 2, 3, we're the rowdiest in town. The Pirates game and Uncle Dave and Big Fudge all around. We sing our songs, we chant as one. Through thick and thin, the match day's just begun. In the North End, we stand together through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow, the North End will never let go. Under the lights of Q2, our home, our sacred ground. In green and black, we fight, our voices loud and proud. Triosi's magic, Bakari speed, Stuva saving grace. With every goal we score, the lights turn verde, it's our place. So those the mastermind, building our dream. Dan rules everything around me, as he strengthens our team. Let roll